Welcome back to Recharge. Let's talk a little bit more golf today. I'm Dr. Gene Shirakrabat here with
Dr. Corey Howe.
that's you.
That is me.
That is you.
Same as last week. I'm still the same person.
You're still the same.
Yeah.
For now.
We're going to talk power today.
Power.
Yeah.
Wait, do golfers need power?
Yeah, it helps.
So it's not a game for power.
In our Recharge Golf Performance Program, we often talk about mobility, strength, and power. And if you watched our previous videos, we've touched on mobility and strength a little bit, but I don't think we've delved deep into
Double D. Delving deep.
Yeah. Into power yet. So I think today's a good day to talk about
Let's do it. Let's do it. You know what I think about power in golf?
What?
It might be counterintuitive, but I think easing off. Because I feel like if I can work power, then I can ease up a little bit on my swing and not swing like I'm auditioning for Happy Gilmore Part 2.
Sure. Sometimes we talk about like over exaggerating certain things in the golf swing or in fitness so that when you do it normally, you'll likely do it less, but it's still a little bit more than what you were doing.
Absolutely.
So some of this power stuff, we may not be swinging this hard, but if we build up our capacity to generate power, oftentimes that translates into actually swinging a little bit harder in the golf swing.
Yeah, and you can see that like if you watch videos of the pros, which I'm sure you're like us, and you watch YouTube videos nonstop, and watching match plays recently of some of the top tour players, and you watch it, and again, the thing that comes across their swing is like Rory is hitting the ball nearly 400 yards on his drive, but his swing doesn't look out of control or that aggressive.
Yeah.
It looks clean, fast, and powerful.
Yeah. Without talking too much about like the nuances of the golf swing, typically a smooth swing is a fast swing, which is kind of weird to think about.
Yeah.
When I first started golfing, like many ex-baseball players, it was grip it and rip it. Like here, I'm trying to swing as hard as I can, and I missed the ball by 1.5 feet.
Yep.
Very embarrassing, but
but it was very fast.
Yeah, very fast. So as far as hitting a golf ball further, I would say in this instance, there's two scenarios that you can do that. You can make better contact, which swing coach, talk to your swing coach, make better contact that way. Or you can swing faster, smoother, faster, right? Generate more club head speed. They have neat devices now that can track your club head speed. If you go to a place like Eagle 5 here in Ellicott City, we can literally track how fast we're swinging a club. The good thing about that is you get to see if the increase in speed translates to still a straight ball path. But if you don't have that technology, how do you try to track power? And that's what we're going to show you today. 2 exercises with a little bit of a special 2.5 variation for you of performing power exercises at home or at the gym, wherever you do your training at.
Power is a measurement of work over time. Now, we're not going to get too much into physics here, but it is important because ultimately we are trying to get more force. And force is mass times acceleration. We're not changing the mass. Right? You're smiling because of physics.
Math equations is just bringing me back.
A lot of math. But we are going to work on the acceleration piece because that force formula will plug into work, which is part of the power formula. And ultimately, distilling it down, we want you to be able to swing faster, like Corey said, in order to change that force formula, but control. That's the big thing we want to emphasize is you able to swing faster under control. And here's the biggest part for 18 holes. That means doing it over and over and over and over again with your body being able to maintain that capacity. What we don't want to see happen is you swinging out of your shoes, crushing the ball, getting home and going, oh, I shot par. I mean, I get it. It's worth it. Sure. We're all golfers here. We'll get it. We'll shoot par and have a little low back pain for a couple hours, but we don't want that. So let's have our cake and eat it too. All right. So before we get into the first exercise, Corey's going to put a square here. And this is to further emphasize the control piece here. We want to be under control in order to develop control. So as we work and show you the first power exercise, we're going to try to aim for that target each and every time with the consistent generation of force. And we'll see that in a second. Take a look.
So now we can kind of visualize what it would be like to consistently reproduce a powerful golf swing, if you will, in the constraints of being indoors. So we have this medicine ball. I'm going to trade spots with Gene because he is right-handed. Picture this as like where you're aiming in your golf swing, if you will. For what we're going to do today, we're going to take that medicine ball and we're going to end up throwing it and try to hit this target. Okay, so we've been talking about power and control. That's what we're aiming for here. So in this exercise, Gene is going to take the ball backwards like he would in his backswing. So he loads backwards and then he explodes towards the target here. Oh yeah. That's some power.
That's about a 320 drive, I'll say.
And
Oh, God.
not control.
Not controlled.
Harder than it looks.
Which is about a 340 drive, but to the other field.
Yeah, 2 fairways over. Okay. There we go. That's better. Good. So we talk about the golf swing, and it takes movement in a bunch of different planes of motion, right? We've talked about frontal plane, sagittal plane, and transverse plane is what we're doing here. The transverse plane in the golf swing kind of pieces all of those three things together, right? You're in the sagittal plane leaning forward in the golf stance. You're in the sagittal plane with your weight shift from loading backwards to shifting to your lead leg, and that transverse plane is the rotation.
Yeah, that felt really good.
It's fun too.
It is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Except when it comes back and hits you in the face, which is very close for me. So keep an eye on your face depending how bouncy the ball is.
It's kind of like hitting a ball off a tree and you got to dodge it out. Yeah.
It does feel good. What I will say is try to get as close to your swing as possible. Now, for me, we're using a 10-pound ball, so it's not terribly heavy, but still a lot heavier than the golf club. So in the setup, as I'm coming back, I was trying my best to think about getting the shift going into my front leg and then going, instead of going first with my arms and then following with the leg. You do want to have that similar weight transfer as you do with your swing.
Yeah, and if you need a reminder or don't know exactly what we're talking about with that weight shift into your lead leg, we'll link our last video down below or somewhere up here maybe, so you can take a look at that and get some exercises and how to properly load that lead leg.
Yep, check that one out. All right, what if somebody doesn't have a box?
Yes, so this is the extra one. If you don't have something solid to hit a ball against, don't throw it against your drywall. You will put a hole in the wall. So you've seen regular medicine ball slams before. They're great for power generation, truly, but if we want it to be a little bit more golf specific, we need that rotation aspect, okay? Guys, again, if you don't have something to throw against, we're gonna throw against the ground, but we still need that rotational piece. Gene is gonna load his back leg like he would in a backswing, but then he's gonna throw the ball straight down while still rotating his hips and his trunk. Oh yeah, good. Try that again. If you wanted to, you could put a square on the ground to try to reproduce that. But one of the keys for this one, I would say, is balance.
Yeah.
Being able to complete your follow through without falling over, right? Power does us no good if we fall over after our swing and the ball goes 200 yards to the right, right?
Well, I'll take it sometimes.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. That's good.
Very good though. It feels good.
It does feel really good
to throw something that hard. Again, Gene may swing that hard in his golf swing, depending on the time. But if we get our body used to generating that much force, when we need to generate it in the golf swing, it'll be that much easier.
Yeah. When you're feeling that motion, I'm trying to maintain tension. What I'm thinking about as I'm doing the load up is keeping my lead arm straight and loading my hip into that slight rotation, not shifting my weight. I'm not shifting weight on the trail leg, just like in the golf swing. So here, I'm coming back, and that might be as far back as I go, and then I explode down. So that should be your thought process as you go through it. I'm out of breath.
That's tough. Yeah. Good.
All right, it's your turn to sweat.
Yeah, let's show them the exercise.
Exercise 2. Here we go. All right. video or exercise 2, we're going to keep going with the med ball rotation theme, but we're going to make it a little bit more challenging by taking your lower half away a bit. So putting you in a position of lower body stability and forcing your upper body to do the work, but the work in a rotational component. So remember, we talked about power. Power has a big work component. So let's make Corey's upper body work and get him out of breath like I was in the last one. So he's going to go in a split stance or staggered stance on the ground, very much like a lunge. So this is a lunge position,
Half kneeling position.
half kneeling
Yeah.
position.
Yeah.
You're going to stay in that half kneeling position. In that half kneeling position, think about train tracks, not tightrope. And this is what we tell people all the time. We're not challenging your balance here, not in the way you think of. We want you wide like you're on train tracks. One foot on one track, the other knee on the other track. Because we
Not-
want you
Not here.
not balancing like Corey is on a tightrope. So get into that position. Then he's going to grab the med ball and you're going to create a rotational movement like you would a golf swing and then finish on the other side of your leg. Here we're working that rotational or that transverse plane power. So here's how it looks like in motion. Good. And again. Good. So Corey's keeping it pretty tight. He's going from one end to the other. You can make this exercise a little bit more challenging by expanding the overall arc or the lever. So this is physics. If you make the lever longer, that means you have to do more work. So Corey's going to bring his arm back like he's doing a backswing and then go all the way through. That creates a bigger arc. So you have to work a little bit harder. This is very challenging.
Yeah.
Right? So think of this as a bit of a progression. This is not the easiest one and maybe don't go quite as heavy as the other one.
Sure. Yeah, we're taking our lower body out of the equation, like Gene said. Power generation. Most of our power comes from our hips,
Yep.
really. In a lot of swinging sports, especially golf. But that doesn't mean we need to negate training the upper body.
Yep.
So one of the things that I'm feeling, and I think one of the reasons why I like this exercise, is I feel a sense of tempo when I'm doing this movement. I'm not going as fast as I can as soon as I pick the medicine ball off there and just going like 0 to 100. I feel like there's this slow, gradual increase in speed as I'm arcing the medicine ball up over my head. And it just reminds me of the tempo needed in a backswing for a golf club. So from here, you can kind of tell I start off a little bit slower and increase speed as the arc goes around my head and slams onto the other side.
All right, there you have it. 2 power development exercises. Both require a med ball or something similar to slam.
Yeah, you've heard of D balls before. It's the same thing. It's like a sandbag, but the D balls don't bounce as high, so they're harder to catch and continue into the next rep.
Yeah.
If you're doing these as an exercise, I tend to recommend like putting a lot of power into it. It's a power exercise. We want to slam the ball pretty hard. We talked early on in the video about overcompensating now so you don't have to swing as hard later. It's kind of the same thing.
Yep.
Put a lot into these exercises to really see the benefits.
I think one of the cool things you'll see in like the benefits that Corey just said is when it transfers over and you're at the tee box and you hit it, but you don't feel like you swung as hard and you see the ball just absolutely launch and fly really, really far. That's a cool feeling because then you start to make that connection. Like,
Yeah.
oh, now I see that transference over from the training to the actual golf course.
Yeah, and although power and hitting the ball is super far isn't the biggest thing in golf, it is definitely a confidence builder when it goes a good ways off the tee and you know you got a short chip shot onto the green.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah,
So.
and hopefully you can actually chip it on the green. But that's for your swing coach to
Yeah.
figure out. But it also the second piece of that is, and we talked about this earlier, is by not swinging as hard, by not working as hard, you can play longer and consistently play at a high level because you're not asking that much of your body. When your body has the capacity and the capability to develop power on the course, you just don't have to use as much energy to get that ball to where you want it to go. And that's when training and performance really carries over to golf and any other sport.
Sure.
So if you found that enjoyable or beneficial, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got a lot more of these videos coming up. If you want to check us out playing golf, we're going to post more on YouTube, but also on Instagram, we post stories when we're out on the course and doing some fun stuff. We just did that a few times. So you could head over to at RechargeXFit on Instagram. Pretty much go to a social channel, type in at RechargeXFit, and you will find something to check out from us.
Yep.
If you want specific programs, where can they find the programs?
At our website,
We do have a
rechargexfit.com.
website.
Again, rechargexfit.com. It's
Yeah,
just
consistent.
everywhere. Check that out. There's a few different options for people. There's in-person, hybrid options, or just regular programs that you want to purchase and do at your own gym. So lots of options for you guys.
There you go. So head over to one of those places. The easiest one, subscribe to YouTube and follow along. We'll catch you again on the next episode from Recharge.